Hey guys, Kalltorak here. Today, I am bringing you my Thorns Ritualist leveling guide for patch 0.2, Dawn of the Hunt. I'll have a Mobalytics link below with all the important information you'll need. I put a lot of work into this written guide, so hopefully it has everything you want inside of it. This was a very fast and cheap leveling experience for me, and it can go a lot faster with currency investment into better gear. I intentionally leveled on a very cheap budget. I will be releasing the follow-up Thorns Ritualist Endgame guide in a few days. Endgame is going great. I flew straight into Waystone level 15s and I've already cleared all pinnacle content on base difficulty. I have done many Thorns builds now, and this one is possibly my favorite. If you are enjoying the content and are looking forward to playing any of my builds in the future patches, please like and subscribe. Buckle up for a silly goose time, and let's dive in. For years now, in ARPGs, monsters have gotten too used to the idea of hitting us with no repercussion. Well, it's time to make the monsters afraid to even attack us. Thorns is a really fun playstyle where you take damage to deal damage. Now, Thorns normally only works on melee hits, but when you use Crown of the Pale King, this will make all hits we take deal Thorns damage. This helmet is required to play Thorns, so if you are solo self-found, do not start this build until you have it. Now, taking a hit isn't the only way we deal damage. Thorns is a very diverse playstyle that can be used to enhance many different attack skills in the game. While yes, there are times you find yourself just standing there, those moments can be quite fun. Am I dead? Never dead. This is a fun thing, this is a fun thing. Here we go, boys. GG. See ya, boy. Boy. He was attacking so fast, it was body go. Oh! The best part. Later, dweeb. No, I'm frozen. Of course, this is only just a small portion of the Thorns gameplay. For a majority of your gameplay, you are zipping around the map just like you would any other build. The new support gems, Barbs and Quill Burst, have transformed Thorns from a passive playstyle into an aggressive, attack-based playstyle. After you retaliate your Thorns damage back at an enemy, your supported attack skill will do your Thorns damage to whatever you hit and the enemies around it. This allows us to use skills like Rake to dive into a big group of enemies, get hit, and then destroy them with your Thorns. If you've ever played a melee build before in an ARPG, you know that you are always getting hit. It's just kind of unavoidable, and your builds usually account for that through defenses. Don't think of Thorns as a build where you're just standing there waiting to be hit, but a build that enhances our power from enemy strikes. Why Ritualist? Ritualist is a fun alternative to my Warbringer playstyle of Thorns. Its location on the tree allows us to easily acquire all of the Thorns, Block, Leech, and physical damage nodes that maximize this build. For endgame, Thorns is very unique heavy. The additional ring slot from Unfurled Finger allows us a lot of flexibility in our gearing. You can very easily cap all of your res, get over 100% rarity, and then amplify the bonuses from your necklace via Mystic Attunement. Thorns styles also by default lean Bleed right now. Bleed synergizes well with Ritualists through Corrupted Life Force and Blood Boil. Vengeance and Leech is our primary defensive layer during the campaign. You will almost never have to use a Life Flask while leveling. Combined with Wildwood Persistence, you are insanely hard to kill. All of this combined leads to Ritualists being very good for Thorns on a budget. Crown of the Pale King is required to start leveling, but there are many fantastic uniques that can help along your journey. Briar Patch gives us flat 25% critical hit chance as well as Thorns damage. You will use these boots forever, so don't be afraid to slap a few runes of tithing into them if you can afford it. Cloak of Flame is a solid leveling unique because of how tanky it makes us, but will get replaced fast by rares. Dreadfists are good gloves for leveling, as we can't get Thorns damage on this slot, but also gets replaced in endgame. If you find yourself using a lot of tithings, you can opt to use Painter's Servant's Gloves for a sizable elemental DPS increase. This will also make your Thorns ignite and freeze, which is fun. Prize Pain and Ming's Heart are in my opinion bait. Ming's Heart is a really big DPS increase, but I found it wasn't needed. Scythe of Spear is great for aggravate bleed, but you can use any rare spirit for dex or strength with a high attack speed. Lastly, if you want a high block chance for the campaign, use Alchem Era. This shield is really nice for Trial of Sehkimas if you are struggling to get block chance. These uniques are cool, but you can get a lot of Thorns damage from rare gear. You can find Thorns damage rolls on belt, chest, and shield. You will want to get items with Thorns damage rolls at the following leveling brackets. I have this all detailed in my leveling guide on Mobalytics. You can see a tab for each level bracket. If you look at the damage table, each level bracket are Thorns damage doubles. To make the leveling process as smooth as possible, you will want to be upgrading your belt, chest, and shield as often as possible. Seriously, if your damage is lacking, make sure you are upgrading your gear. I leveled this character very fast through a cheap budget. These are the stats you will want to prioritize. Block chance and maximum life are a major defensive layer for you. Getting percent increased maximum life on your neck will be massive. Again, I used 0 runes of tithing, and all of my gear was on a budget of 1 Exalt or cheaper. If you slotted tithings into every possible rune socket, you will one-shot most bosses in the campaign. For rare jewels, we use rubies. Look for Thorns damage, block chance until 75% cap, global physical damage, and bleed hit chance. If you have a big budget, you should most certainly invest into a Prism of Belief for scavenge plating. This is where most of our Thorns damage comes from, and gem levels scale it very well. This is huge, so buy it if you're serious about Thorns. If you want to level with an Anoint, I recommend Heart Stopping. It gives you easy critical hit chance, and it's very cheap. Parrying motion is also good on a budget, if you dislike how slow Thorns goes. With a high block chance, you will be zooming around the map. If you have a really good amulet, and you want to invest into it, I recommend Tempered Mind. Physical damage, crit damage bonus, and strength. This is our best Anoint, even in endgame. So, how does it work? Well, let's start with Act 1. Rake is our main attack skill for the entire campaign and endgame. You do not need to level Rake to max level. It's fine to keep it low since we are limited in dexterity. Start with Quillburst, Barbs, and Stomping Ground. Splinter is pretty good at breaking armor when your damage is better. I would swap Stomping Ground for Splinter when you get to Cruel. Scavenge Plating is your most important skill when playing Thorns. This will be your first spirit gem. It is very important you prioritize leveling this gem whenever you can. It is where a majority of our damage comes from. You must break armor to gain stacks of Scavenge Plating, which gives you loads of Thorns damage. Way more damage than we can get from gear. Early on, Splinter will be inconsistent with breaking armor. That's where Armor Breaker comes in. And your weapon set too have a mace with a decent attack speed. It is very important you level up Armor Breaker with your character. It'll make breaking armor so much easier. If you find your damage is lacking, it means you aren't managing your Scavenge Plating stacks well enough. On bossing, if you find yourself needing to refresh your Scavenge Plating, you can use Exploit Weakness in Spear Stab. This will strip away their broken armor and allow you to re-break it for easy refresh of Scavenge Plating. Shield Charge and Disengage will help you a lot during leveling, so snag these quick. For the passive tree, we are heading straight towards Vengeance, as Thorns Leech is our main defensive layer for long into endgame. When we get to Act 2, snag an amulet with plus 30 spirit on it at some point. You will want to be adding on Herald of Blood with a greater Jeweler's Orb. Using Herald of Blood with Bursting Plague and Envenom, this will cause you a really fun AoE explosion that helps a lot with your clear. Make sure to take the passive Bloodletting for a little bit of extra bleed chance. When we kill a bleeding enemy with Herald of Blood, they explode for physical damage. This explosion will then poison through Envenom. This poison ramps up over time with Bursting Plague, and then it explodes again. Back to the passive tree, it's best to just invest more into Leech so you're really never having to worry about life flasking. Snag Bloodthirsty and Voracious, then start pathing towards Spiked Armor. Time to talk Trial of Sehkimas. There is a lot of misconception around Trials of Sehkimas and Thorns. It is a lot easier than you would expect once you understand block and active block via Ray Shield. I have an entire video about it. I'll link it down below if you want a more in-depth walkthrough. So, blocking a hit in Path of Exile 2 will fully negate its damage. However, you will still retaliate your Thorns damage. This is key to clearing Sehkimas as Thorns. Doesn't matter if it's from passive block or active block using Raise Shield or Resonating Shield. If you go into Sehkimas with a high passive block percent, or are really good at using Raise Shield, you can clear it with 0 honor loss. Add on relics with percent to honor resistance and percent increased maximum honor, and with a high enough block chance, you can walk through trials with ease. If you still find you are struggling with Trial of Sehkimas, do not fear. You can skip Sehkimas and get all of your Ascendancy points from Ultimatum. Do not feel forced into banging your head against Sehkimas if you are struggling too much. Practice makes perfect though. For your first Ascendancy point, I recommend Unfurled Finger. The extra ring slot is just so nice while leveling. You are easily res capped the entire time. For your second point, I went with Blood Boil, but if you find yourself dying too much, go with Wildwood Persistence or Mystic Attunement. For Act 3, we are going to take the stun threshold from the Corpse Venom quest. Here, you can add on Scythe of Spear for Aggravate Bleed. It's pretty nice for bossing, but its bleed hit percent doesn't apply to Thorns, so don't feel forced to use it. When you get your next 30 Spirit from the Bog Witch, add on Herald of Plague. This causes our poison from Herald of Blood to spread, which leads to really fun and easy screen clears, even early on in the campaign. You can now add on Blood Hunt for bossing. When the Blood Loss meter is full, hit him with Blood Hunt and get a new Blood Loss meter going. For the passive tree, snag Thornhide for more Thorns crit and Lay Siege for extra damage. Moving into Cruel, this is when I find it's easiest to swap Disengage for Thunderous Sleep. If you don't have the dex for this yet, don't bother. It's just better mobility for leveling. I also swap Stomping Ground for Splinter here. For passives, we start investing into our crit by getting Vulgar Methods and Barbaric Strength. Nothing serious changes for the back half of the Cruel campaign. In Act 6, we go with plus 10 Chaos Res from the Corpse Snake Venom quest. After you get your last spirit, add on Thorn Skin, Precision, and Vitality support gems. Snag Spiked Armor, Retaliation, and Offensive Sense to round out your damage and defensives as well. From here, you should be able to finish the campaign and sail smoothly into maps. Reminder, if at any point you find your damage is struggling, check the following things. Make sure you are breaking armor for Scavenge Plating, and also leveling it up every chance you can get. Also, make sure you're upgrading your gear at every single level bracket to maximize your Thorns damage. I blasted this character to endgame in 9 hours on a very cheap budget. Seriously, again, I used no Runes of Tithing or fancy uniques. I tried to make this as accessible as possible, so hopefully you guys find this guide an easy walkthrough. Alright, that was the guide. I won't do this for every build I do going forward, but I do plan on doing it again for my League Start Thorns character in 0.3. If you found there was any missing information or things you are confused about, politely let me know down below. I want my 0.3 Thorns guide to kick some serious ass, so your feedback is appreciated. If you're watching this video the day it came out, I am probably streaming the endgame of my Thorns Ritualist. I stream on both YouTube and Twitch, so come hang out. Shout out to the wonderful Lokahol and Dalcora. They helped me greatly with the structure of the written guide. Like and subscribe if you're wanting to see my upcoming endgame guide for this build. Apologies to Darth Microtransaction, we once again ran out of time. Take care, boys. See you in the next one.